Hello and welcome to my astrology YouTube channel. My name is Michel and I've been a practicing astrologer since 2017, 2018 when I first started talking with clients about their charts. And I decided to make this YouTube channel because during the course of readings there's an educational aspect. So a person will come and get a reading from me, and each reading involves an understanding of what we're talking about. What is astrology? How are the planets working? What is a sign? What are the conditions of planets? It's a completely different vocabulary from other psychological paradigms that are used to dig deep into a person's psyche. And every practice, every technique of discovering oneself has its own language. So I decided finally to make this YouTube channel in order to supplement the readings with a learning source. How can we dig deep into the concepts and dig deep into the basics really of astrology so that we can see them operating in our everyday lives. Now I'm so grateful for all of the different channels on YouTube that we have access to learn from. YouTube is really a university system in and of itself, but this channel is going to be focused on the basics and how we can apply the basic concepts of astrology into everyday life and start to see astrology in everyday life working. And we can start to see how a planet is working in a person, and using these to learn more about ourselves and to learn more about how energy works in the world. Now, the astrology that I use is called Tropical Vedic, and tropical is a calculation of the zodiac. Most people are familiar with tropical. It's the system that most Western astrologers use. The other system, the major system, is called sidereal, and that's what most astrologers use in India. So I use the tropical zodiac mixed with techniques from India, and I don't use the calculation aspect of the Indian tradition, but using the techniques available from India. Now, Vedic is a general term that means it comes from a culture that existed in ancient India, and the books that were written down, the tradition, were called the Vedas, and the Veda means knowledge, and their language is Sanskrit. So many of the texts and books had to have been translated into Sanskrit, and nowadays we have access to these translations, which has turned astrology into a science, a repeatable, concrete science. Most people, when they think of astrology, they think of it being based on the intuition of an astrologer, or it's based on symbols or archetypes. In a way it is, but it goes much deeper than that. It goes to, there's a predictive aspect that it's not just a 50-50 guess. And the better astrologer, the more experience an astrologer has, you can repeatedly see things working, and that's going to happen. That's going to manifest in a certain way. And these patterns that we can discover are becoming more and more tight, so to say. We can really see scientifically how something is happening because of the techniques and the ideas that astrology has to give. So I want to make this channel accessible to people that aren't astrologers. So a lot of YouTube channels really get into the details for people that want to learn astrology as a science. I'm going to have a lot of these ideas. It's all a part of learning astrology, but I want to bring it more to the surface of things. I want to make a channel, and my intention is to make this channel accessible to people that want to see astrology, how it works in everyday life. Not necessarily for people that want to learn astrology itself as a technique. There are plenty of channels to do that, but through the process of making these videos, through the process of an exchange between people on the YouTube channel and on my Instagram and through my site, where my readings and services are all available, have an exchange with people, firstly during readings, but also sharing and building on building a foundation of how we can bring astrology into an everyday conscious awareness. It's not just for the one person who does it or the astrologers themselves. It's for everyone to see how the energies of our universe are working, because astrology really is that. It's an occult science. Occult just means hidden. It's hidden from our five senses, but it has an energetic reality that we can't ever escape. It's like, how does a fish escape water? Well, when a fish escapes water or leaves water, then it dies. The water would be like the space and time that a fish is living in. It's always in this ocean of water. It's always in this ocean. And likewise, we're in an ocean of energy. And there's no getting away from it until we die and we leave time and space. And that's a whole different paradigm of understanding. But in this universe, in our space and time, in this realm that we live in, we're interacting with energy at all times, whether we see it or whether we don't. Some people can see auric energies. Most people, like myself and most 99% of the population, you don't see it, but it's there. And so the study of astrology is studying how energy is working. And there are basic concepts, and it starts with the planets and then the signs, and it just goes and it goes and it goes. So I want this channel to be really a fun way to look at how the energy of our world is really operating on a very everyday level. And by doing this, I like to do film reviews and I like to do book reviews, and showing how the principles of astrology can be decoded within characters and within stories, really. Film and is the most popular art form there is since it was invented. It overtook still images, it overtook painting. So we can see astrology working on all of these levels. Now, a little bit of my background, just some basics, which you can read on my site. But I was a film and theater director in New York City for about 8 years. And I graduated in film directing from the University of Illinois. And I have been doing film since I was a young kid. I had the Lego set, the Steven Spielberg Lego set. It came with a little camera, and that was my first video camera, and setting up stories. And so I've been using cameras my whole life, and that's my bread and butter, is creating stories. And during the process of theater specifically, the part that I took to the most, the aspect that I loved about, was taking a script, taking a story, and diving deep into the characters and working with the actors. My favorite part of theater and film, specifically theater, because it's more direct with actors. Film is a lot more technical, and it's a lot more production and planning. Theater, you can really get into the story. And so my favorite part was working with actors and really using the instrument, the body, the instrument that the actor has. Their body and their personality and their mind, their psyche is the material of an actor. As a painter has brushes and paints, an actor has their body and has their mind. So diving deep into characters with actors became my full passion. I wanted to really understand what it was like, what human experience, the possibilities of human experience, the angles of human experience, and tell that in dramatic fashion. Create a piece that is showing a mirror to the audience of what it is to be a human being, what it is to live on Earth as a human. And I'm still extremely passionate about theater and film, but my work in this world really eventually led me to astrology because of my passion for understanding how humans work. And I'd heard about astrology. I didn't dive into it, but it came a point when it was starting to explain things to greater depth than traditional psychology could, and most of the other traditions that we have to understand human beings. So sorry, there's a lot of cars that pass and motorcycles. So this passion of mine led me to dive deeper and deeper and deeper into how astrology can explain how things work in the world, how human beings are operating in the world. So that's what led me to astrology, is really the study of the human psyche, the study of how human experience works on an energetic level and more foundational level. And I began as a Western astrologer, and I kind of kept hitting. It would be like jumping into a swimming pool. There's a bottom to the swimming pool, and so you can swim all around. You can from the surface, but when there's a bottom, you can't go that deep. When I discovered the Vedas, when I discovered the tradition from ancient India, the bottom almost disappeared, and you're swimming in an ocean, and there's so many depths to it. And the explanations were far more profound than what I was getting from my study as a Western astrologer. The Western tradition just isn't as old as the Vedic tradition. And I studied alchemy. Alchemy has its own language that uses the planets. It's very connected with the planets. Alchemy, we can do a video or a series of videos on how alchemy and astrology are related. That's an entirely different world, but the Western tradition is really it's rooted in the alchemical sciences, and astrology kind of developed alongside with the study of alchemy. And but those techniques again are very, very coded. It's a very coded world, alchemy. And so basically what was happening is that when I was discovering the Vedic techniques, the Vedic world, so much opened up in the sense of even the storytelling, the mythological tradition, the historical texts that the Vedas offer, blew the door open to what I thought was the study of human beings and spiritual philosophy. And I recommend everybody read books that are Vedic books. First the Bhagavad Gita, but also Srimad Bhagavatam, which is one of the oldest books in the world, and it's a mythology, and it's a historical tradition. It's not the tradition is that these things happen. These are stories of real events that were recorded. It's a recorded history. And when I first found the Srimad Bhagavatam, I was so blown away by what it was articulating in terms of what human experience and the detail of describing on how on a soul level human life evolves. I was just so taken aback from the information that my first impulse is I gotta spread this information out. People have to hear about this. I studied at a 4-year university in philosophy and sociology and anthropology, and there was no study in this tradition. It's called Hinduism, but our understanding of Hinduism has it just barely scratches the surface of what there is to offer. And the misunderstandings are profound for what astrology or for what Hinduism is, and even that word. So I was so blown away by the Srimad Bhagavatam that I decided right then and there I have to make a piece. I have to make a play or a film based on this, and that's exactly what I did. I began writing a story. I adapted a certain portion of the book, and I spent the next 4 years writing, producing, and directing, and then editing, and then releasing the film. And it's the first film in English, live action film in English, based on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I finished that 2 years ago, and it was I was so passionate, and I still am so passionate, and I only told the story, I told one story from that book, and then adapted it to my real life, working in the art world, working with painters and working with my experience in New York City and working in the art world. But I just took one 2-page story from that book, and it's like a Bible. It's about as long as the Bible. I think 18,000 verses and cut into 12 cantos. It's a massive book, and every page is packed with amazing information. So the study of astrology and the study of Vedic astrology incorporates all of these profound concepts of what it is to be a human being. There's really no separating Vedic astrology with the Vedas, with the mythologies, with the histories. They're intertwined, and this profound science of astrology, seeing how we operate in space and time, is tied in with all the philosophies of ancient India. So as this channel evolves and as we do more videos, we'll be able to talk about the basic ideas that a lot of Western people born in European countries, even in the Americas, South America, we're just not in contact with what these philosophies offer and how they apply to our everyday lives. So when we learn astrology, when we learn Vedic astrology, it's going to be right connected with the different philosophies that are available from the Vedic worldview. And so, yes, I hope this video gave a little introduction of who I am, my background, and where I want to take this channel. And one of the foundational principles is, even though I'm speaking alone in my apartment now, the goal is to really connect with other people and bring awareness and bring interconnectivity with people. I do readings for people, and all of my readings are on my website, and you can see the link below for my website, jmvedic.com. And that's the initial way I do readings for people, that we can connect. But more than that, connecting on the YouTube channel and making discussions in comments and contacting me personally and sharing personal stories and just communicating. One of the best things about having these channels is that we can talk with people all over the world. Like back in the day, you would have to send a letter, and it would take months, and then you'd have to resend a letter to talk to somebody in Russia, or talk to somebody in India, or talk to somebody in France or something. Now it's just a click, and it's an email. And so we have an amazing chance to really go forward, everybody together, and share information together and evolve. And because I'm a perpetual student, I'm always learning. And the best way is to learn from other people and discover ourselves through communicating with other people. So this video went a little bit longer than I wanted, but thank you for listening, and expect more videos to come in the future. I'm going to be starting on a discussion about the planets. We're going to start with the bread and butter of astrology, and what is a planet, how is a planet working, and how it's not separate, it's a part of you. And so, yeah, we'll start on that. And yes, thank you for listening, and have an excellent day. We'll be speaking to you soon.